Now, inside of this, so for those of you that are taking the ACT tonight, inside here is some practice English tests. There's a reading test, there's math, there's science. Everything is in here. And the answers are there, so you can feel free to do as much as you want. But for us, you're just going to do what we can together.
Is this the video? Like, is it the video on YouTube?
I'm going to put it.
Okay.
I'm going to put it there. Okay, so just some things I want to kind of remind you about. When you take the ACT, you are allowed to use a calculator, but there are some restrictions. So like the TI 30X, like we use in class, those ones are allowed. But there are some calculators that are not allowed. You don't want to go into it without a calculator, but much of the test you don't necessarily need one. And you don't want to completely just punch that calculator for every single thing, okay? Some other things to think about. The test is 60 questions in 60 minutes. That only gives you 1 minute per question. But the first questions are easier than the last questions. So the first questions you might only take 30 seconds per piece, and you'll kind of gain some speed so that you'll have extra time for the hard ones at the end, okay? The test is broken down, things that you know, okay? There is 23% pre-algebra. So the beginning of the test is more pre-algebra than anything else. 17% just regular algebra. 15% intermediate algebra. 15% geometry, coordinate geometry. 23% plane geometry. 7% is trig, okay? So that means you have had the math already for 93% of that stuff. And some of the trig stuff is mostly SOHCAHTOA, so you've had some of that too. Now, I want to talk about the instructions for the test, okay? So I think the math is usually the second one. I'm not sure. I haven't taken it for 35 years, but but let's go to the math section, which is on page 26. Could you please go to the math section? Now, at the top of the math section, there's always the same directions. We are going to read them now. And then the day of the test, why are you going to waste a minute of your life to read the exact same directions again? Don't. You need every minute that you have during this test. So, the directions say, solve each problem, choose the correct answer, and then fill in the corresponding oval on your answer document. Do not linger over problems that take too much time. Solve as many as you can, then return to the others in the time you have left for this test. You are permitted to use a calculator on this test. You may use your calculator for any problems you choose, but some of the problems may be best done without using a calculator. Note, unless otherwise stated, all the following should be assumed. 1. Illustrative figures are not necessarily drawn to scale. 2. Geometric figures lie in a plane, so they're just on a flat surface, flat sheet of paper. 3. The word line indicates a straight line. 4, the word average is indicates an arithmetic mean, so the mean. Okay, so you never have to read those directions again. You've read them. They're not going to change. They're not super fancy. They're the same way every time. So when they say get started, you jump right to number 1. Now, I found that the main strategy that holds for students is the fact that they aren't using their time wisely, okay? So this is what we're going to do. I am going to start the timer. You are going to have 5 minutes to do the first 5 questions. Now, they're the easy ones, so I hope you get done before 5 minutes.
Easy.
But go ahead and start problems 1 through 5 at this time. You have 5 minutes, no talking. Just like you're on the test, no talking. 5 minutes starts now. we do 1 through 5 and then stop. You have 2 minutes left. You have 1 minute. I know some of you are starting to get done at this point. That's a good sign. If you're not getting done with these, you need to step it up a notch as far as how fast you're working. Ten seconds, and then I want you to stop. Okay, 5 minutes you had for 5 questions. If you didn't get them done, these should be a little bit of the easier ones. You need to step up your pace. Were you relying on a calculator too much? Were you doing some things that you shouldn't? Now, if you got done with 4 of them very quickly and 1 stumped you, then you're okay. Let's take a look. The thing you want to remember about for number 1, for an absolute value equation, you have to get the absolute value so you can, or you have to get an answer inside before you take the absolute value. So here you get the absolute value of 4 minus the absolute value of -4. You want to actually get an answer and then make that answer positive. So that becomes a +4 minus a +4, which is 0. Number 1 is D. Number 2, a consultant charges $45 per hour for each hour she works on a consultation, plus a flat $30 consultation fee. How many hours of work are included in a $210 bill for a consultation? Well, think about, you want to take off the $30 first, and then you want to ask yourself how many 180s or how many 45s are in 180, so you can do that division. What do you get? You get 4. So that was 4 hours of work. You could have also, remember, this is a multiple choice question, you can work your way backwards. So if you wanted to first start out and think 4, if I work 1 hour, it's 45, and 2 hours is 90, and then 135, and then 180, and then I got to add on that $30 fee, so you can work your way backwards if you want. Okay. Did you have a question? Okay. Number 3, it says vehicle A averages 14 miles per gallon. Vehicle B averages 36 miles per gallon. At these rates, how many more gallons of gasoline does vehicle A need compared to vehicle B? Well, let's think about the fact, if we know how long the trip is and we have how many miles per gallon it's going to take, we're just going to divide. So this one I would definitely throw into a calculator. So if I do car A, How many 14s are in 1008? Thank you. And so you get that they need 17 gallons. And then you do the same thing, and this time divide by 36, and you get 28. And the question is how many more gallons of gas does vehicle A need to use compared to vehicle B? And at this point, you're just going to subtract the two, and your answer is 44 gallons. Okay. Number 4 is just testing that you know how to do basic algebra. We are adding or subtracting like terms. These two go together. That's negative 81t squared. Remember, when you're adding or subtracting like terms, you add or subtract the front coefficient and you keep that variable. So this one's out. You know these ones are out because they didn't have a negative 81. You can use the process of elimination, okay? You also now know this one's out. So even without having to do much else as far as the work goes, you know that J is going to be our answer, okay? That's a time-saving technique. You have multiple choices there to look at. So sometimes you're going to find out some information very quickly. Let's take a look at this. This said that we have an equilateral on top of a square. They have given us that this length is 6. What is the perimeter? Well, just think about this is 6. This is 6. The ones that are weird are what are these? Well, we know some things. If you divide 180 by 3, what do you get?
60.
You get 60, right? And so you can use the fact that that's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. But look at what we know. Isn't this side 6? So wouldn't these be 6s?
Yeah.
So we can just add them all up. You can even verify that this is 3. So this is double and a 30, 60, 90. There's lots of ways to do it. Anyway, the perimeter then, we just have how many 6s here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6s. The answer is 30. Don't overthink things. Write things on the pictures they have provided. Actually write on the pictures they have provided. Scribble on there. You know, show your work. Do your work. But remember, it is a timed test. Don't waste time. Okay? Let's go 5 more minutes. Let's do 6. Well, let's just go 3 minutes. Let's just do 6, 7, and 8. 3 minutes starting now. 3 minutes. Start 6, 7, 8. No, you start. Do only what I asked of you. Number 6, 7, and 8 at this time, please. You have 3 minutes for 6, 7, and 8. You have 1 minute. You try not to jump ahead. Stay with us so that you can follow the instructions and don't go faster than you have. Just wait for me. You got about 20 seconds. If you got done before the 3-minute mark, that's a good sign. If it's taking you 3 minutes, step it up. Got to go a little faster. Time is up. Stop what you're doing. Let's go ahead and go over 6, 7, and 8. Now, 6, 7, and 8, if you look at 6, we know how to do the algebra of that. If you check your first term, that's going to be 4z squared. And then you're going to do negative 8z. Then you're going to distribute the 3 twice. You're going to get 3z minus 6. So you know that these two are out. You should get more than one term unless they are conjugates. And then you know it has a 6 on the end, so you know it's not that one. The middle term is going to be negative because the 8 is larger than the 3, so the answer is J. Number 7, 40% of a given number is 8. So you're going to do 40% of means times a number is 8. Then what is 15% of that number? Well, let's first solve for the number. You're going to do 0.40 times n equals 8. How are we going to solve for n? How do we solve for n at this point? We divide. 8 divided by 0.4. So 8 divided by 0.4 is 20. Now, once you find that number, it says what is 15% of the given number? 15% of that is 3. The answer is C. Number 8, excuse me, the 6 consecutive integers below add up to 447. What is the value of x? Well, do what they said. If they add up to 447, how many x's do we have in that list? 6 of them. Now look at our number, negative 2 plus 1, or I'm sorry, negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, plus 1 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0, plus 3. That total that added up has to equal 447. You know how to solve that algebraic equation. That's not hard. Don't overthink it. Subtract 3 from both sides. We get 6x equals 443. Is that right? No, 444. And 444 divided by 6 is 74. The answer is H. You'll see that it didn't take me 3 minutes to do those, and I know I'm fast, you know, because I've been doing this a little bit of a time. But now what I want to do is the next page. What I would like to do is 9 through 12, please. So that's 4 questions, 4 minutes, just 9 through 12. That left side of the page, please. 9 through 12 at this time. Go ahead and begin. You have 4 minutes. Through 12. You are down to 3 minutes. You have 1 minute. So if you're done at this time, you gained yourself some extra time for the hard ones. If you're not done, you got to step it up. Step it up on these beginning questions. You have 10 seconds to try to finish it up. And talk about numbers 9 through 12. And then we're going to talk about this little one here. And then I want to do some of the more difficult ones. Number 9. It says, in the standard coordinate plane, point M has coordinates 5, 4, and is the midpoint of A and B. B has coordinates 7, 3. What are the coordinates of A? So let's think about the midpoint formula for the second. You might know it is just the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So if we average out the x, some value plus 5 when I divided by 2 gave me 7. Okay, let's look at that. If we just look at the x's only, some x plus 5 when I divided by 2 gave me 7. So that means x plus 5 equals 14, so x equals 9. What's the only one that has an x value of 9? B. Do we have to go on and find the other one? No. As long as our value for x was right, you're good to go. Okay. Now, why waste time doing the y value? Because, again, half the battle of the ACT is your time. Don't waste time. The only one that has an x value of 9 is B. Move on. Be done with it. Okay, let's look at 10. 10, you can use a little bit of facts about what we know about a rectangle. A rectangle's sides are, opposite sides are equal and parallel. So, like, if you think about the fact, if we make a little triangle, and if we make that same triangle here, so we went up like 2, 3, and then over 4. So if we go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, we just found where that other point's located. Yes?
I think you did number 9 wrong.
What did I do wrong?
5, 4 is the midpoint. Yeah. Not 7, 3.
You're finding A, not M. M is the midpoint.
Yeah.
But
B.
finding M. Yeah, but
Oh, you are totally right. I am so sorry.
It was
Can we switch those around? The midpoint is 5, 4. That's equal to 5. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Anyway, let's try that again. So we got to make it 10 because we cross multiply and get 10. Thank you. I guess I need to spend more time reading, don't I? And then subtract 7 from both sides. The same idea. What is the one that gives you an x value of 3? The only one is D. I am so sorry. Thank you for catching that. Okay. So if you look at our coordinate here, would you agree that we landed at 10, negative 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The answer is F. 11. It says that this, and it's, this is what I tend to do, and I know it's not necessarily the best strategy, but it does sometimes save time. If you just read this and it says, what is the total of the t-shirt inventory for the total value for the 2 stores? So our A, if you've ever done matrices, and some Algebra 2 teachers do and some don't, so I don't know if you've ever seen matrices before, but the A stores are, or the A shirts or whatever, are worth $5. How many shirts do we have that are A's? 220. So we have to do 220 times 5. How many shirts do we have that are B's? And what are they worth? So we're going to do 250 times 10. How many shirts do we have that are C's? 250, and what are they worth? So we can kind of tell without reading everything. This question here is so important. So I sometimes will read that question more than once. What are they asking me to find? They're asking me the total value of the t-shirt inventory for Dayson's 2 stores. So I have this many A's, this many B's, this many C's, and this one gives their value. And you can tell very clearly which one has the value. It's got the dollar sign on it. If you add that all up, 220 times 5 plus 250 times 10 plus 250 times 15, you should get a total of $7,350. The answer is E. And then finally, here we have a triangle, and it's shown below with the exterior angles X, Y, and Z as shown. What is the sum of those angles? Well, let's look for a moment. How do we find this bottom one right there? Well, yes. Exactly. So if you do 180 minus 72 and 57, we know this is 51. Now there's a rule about the exterior angles. The exterior angles always add up to the two, they're called remote or something. I don't know. I don't teach geometry. Sorry, but these ones. So this one adds up to those two. So that is 129. So I'm going to put that there. This one, the one right here, adds up to these two. That is 108. And then this one adds up to these two, which is 123. And so if we add that up, and I just thought of a rule, but I'll check to see if I was right for a minute. The exterior angles of a triangle always add up to 360. So I wasted time by not knowing my geometry rule. Sorry, but I have never taught geometry ever once in my lifetime. Well, I taught it in summer school once, if that counts. So. Geometry rules are never ones I remember. Okay. Now let's talk, we're going to skip down, if you please, could skip down. I want to do just one or two of the harder ones. So you'll see that the difference in them is they are going to get harder as we go down the page. Now remember, there are 60 questions. And what I want to do is let's see, which ones do we want to do? Let's do 58 and 59, these two right here. And let's do 2 minutes. Again, 2 minutes, 58 and 59. So scroll down to page 33 until you find 58 and 59. Let's go ahead and get started. You have 2 minutes at this time. 2 minutes. Go ahead and start. Time is up. Now, you might have noticed that to get those two done in the 2 minutes time, it seemed like time went really fast. And that's because of the fact that those later ones become more difficult. So you don't want to waste your time earlier in the process. They are going to get more difficult. And if you get to one where you are super stuck, don't make it harder on yourself than you have to, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at the answers for 58 and 59. The answer to 58 is F. Now let's talk about why. If you think about the value of a number, if a 2-digit number has the 1 digit is a T in the tens place, then its value would be 10 times that digit plus U. So that is a number that looks like TU. Okay? If this numbers are switched around, now the U is in the tens place and the T is in the ones place. And they wanted us to subtract them. So you'll notice I've subtracted. And you just distribute. So that would be a -10 and a -1. And that's when you get that. The only one that matches that is the top one there. If you factor out a 9, you get T minus U. So that's 58.
I'm so very
So let's think of numbers for a minute. If you have the number 75, isn't that really 7 times 10 plus 5 times 1?
Yeah.
And then if you have the number 57, isn't that 5 times 10 plus 7?
Yeah.
So all we're doing here is using our place value. The T is first in the tens place. So here our T is 7 and our U is 5. And here our U is 5 and our T is 7, and they've switched places. So we're using the place value to answer the question, because the total value, if it's in the tens place, you stick a 10 on it. If it's in hundreds place, you stick 100 on it.
Okay.
For 59, that is a triangle that the base is exactly an altitude, a height of 2 units. Why? See how these are 3s? And this is a 5, so they're exactly, since that is flat there, since these two line up perfectly from left to right horizontally, then this perpendicular has a height of 2, the base is 4, and then you just do 1/2 base times height. So you don't have to do anything magical for that one. It's just recognizing the fact that this is perpendicular, and we can just use that height there. How do we know? Well, 5 minus 3 is where I got this 2. 5 minus 1 is where I got that 4. Just think about how many digits it would be. And if you even wanted to kind of make, a rough, picture and break it down, you could do that. Okay. So, one last thing. You can turn this in as you see it, okay? If you finish the entire math test, now that's not just circling answers, if you actually try the whole darn thing tonight, it has to be tonight, you'll get 5 bonus points, okay? Otherwise, feel free to turn in what you have now. That's full credit, because whatever you get done is what you get done. So some hints again for the test. Use your time wisely. Don't think necessarily you have to jump right to your calculator, because you might waste time. Go quicker on those first ones to save up your time for the later ones. Don't worry about the instructions. They never change, okay? Let's just take 1 second and go look at the science questions, or the science section for a minute. So there's the reading. The science section is back here. The science section, you can read the instructions. All of these instructions are the same from section to section, from year to year. The science questions, my suggestion would be, don't read all of that first. Look at what they are asking. What are they asking in the question? So like here they're saying, figure 1 shows the seismograph located at a point 125 degrees around Earth. So you know then, now I need to analyze figure 1. For science, jump to the questions first. Jump to the questions first, because the timing of it all, it's a quick section, and a lot of people end up screwing it up because they waste so much time. Jump to the questions first, okay? Any questions at all that I can answer? Yeah. Okay.